let's chat about the next section here, because we're going to give you a little bit of an advance, because the Overstreet price guide for 2020 isn't out until next July. But we do have a couple advisors. One of them is right here. And you already wrote an essay. Maybe let's back it up and explain what's going on.
So Overstreet advisors are a group of people in the price guide who discuss what happened in the marketplace and what's going to happen in the marketplace. Okay, we apply for this position. Okay, we want to be that voice so you guys know and give yourselves a direction of where to go.
How long have you been doing it for?
I'd say this is probably like my 7th year, I guess.
And you focus on Golden Age comics, so that's really what you provide, is a little bit of a record for that year, in your opinion, kind of like the year-end roundup. How did the Golden Age genre do?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I just submitted my article literally the other day, so it's fresh here. We got it. I'm going to give it to you now so you don't have to wait 6 months, and hopefully that helps you in your hunt sooner than others.
Ooh, let's get into it, because you're going to have some examples, some things that they should find and keep an eye out for. And if there's some new Golden Age collectors, I'm sure you're going to fill them in on places they can kind of get their feet wet. What was 2019? Sum it up. What's going on in the Golden Age of comics? And hit the like button, comic fam. This is advanced info. You can't find this anywhere.
I start off my article with a couple shout outs. All right. And these are books that we actually touched on already, but it was the Marvel Comics #1. All right. That hit 1.26 million. First Marvel Golden Age book to break 1 million. And then Captain America #1 that we mentioned, which sold for 915,000.
That's right.
Okay. And I have no problem mentioning these books again because those are two big numbers. I also roll into the conversation of how strong the market was this last year and my expectations for it to be strong again next year. We saw $40 million in sales of CGC graded books alone across all auction houses and eBay. Now, can you imagine how many sales of non-CGC books there were, convention sales of raw books, eBay raw book sales, privately traded books and sold? I mean, I have to guesstimate that there had to be $80 to $90 million worth of sales in Golden Age alone.
It's crazy to think that just Golden Age as a genre could potentially be exceeding $100 million in sales annually.
Now, the usual suspects for sales for me this year were Captain America comics, Marvel Mystery Comics, Action Comics, Detective Comics, the usual suspects every year. And again, that'll be the same next year. If you want to get in collecting and want to do it kind of affordably as possible, and this is for the heart of the Golden Age, I do have a subset of it for me and a lot of collectors. We call a section of the Golden Age from like around 1947, 48 to 1955, the Atomic Age, and we'll get into that shortly. But for the early part of the Golden Age there, I recommend jumping into Fawcett Comics, Quality Comics, Fox Feature Publications. These are all publishers that put out really good work with a wide variety of genres, and you can get into Captain Marvel books in general.
So I'm assuming that Captain Marvel, Shazam, has been uplifted in this community post this movie that landed. Are you seeing that in the Golden Age era of comics?
Absolutely. I had a good year in sales of that book. I see it continuously increase. But he crosses over on so many titles: Captain Marvel Adventures, Captain Marvel Jr.
Family.
Yeah, Marvel Family. So you can find something of his and really just get in because it's good artwork, good stories.
It's affordable. A lot of these were printed in mass and they're available, so the scarcity isn't as aggressive when you're looking at, lower grade copies.
You also have like Quality Publications who put out things such as Black Hawk, Modern Comics, Police Comics. They have great artwork in them. You did Fox Feature, like I mentioned. You can have like the variety of genres there, from romance to superhero, and they have a great lineup as well. So when you're mentioning Matt Baker and romance, that's going to drag us into that Atomic Age that I mentioned. That's like the twin of the Golden Age that's born maybe 2 minutes later. All right, he's not like the twin. He's a little edgier.
He's a little more badass.
A little more BA. Still has that swagger. Okay, like the twin, but just different.
Sure.
Okay. And so that's what this brings, a little bit more extreme to it. And this is where we're seeing more risque covers with romance covers. You're seeing violent covers with horror and crime, cool sci-fi covers. And when you talk about Matt Baker, he was extremely strong in 2018 and beginning 2019, but I saw a severe plateauing of his sales because the spike was so grand. I mean, we were seeing 5 times guide plus of sales of his books like instantly. So I've seen it relax some, which is great because now you can get in and win through its spike. And now whatever you're buying it for is what market really is. But I do see it in higher grade. If you can find like authentic police cases or wartime romance, that type of stuff, and 7.0s plus, right now I still think it's at an affordable price range.
Affordable price range, as well as a recognizable artist for a lot of these romance covers. I think that has to do with it too, because some of these Golden Age covers, they're really busy, and some people find it hard to even tell them apart. But some of them, like Matt Baker, it is easy to tell apart. I'm assuming like an L.B. Cole would be on that same list.
Yeah, L.B. Cole, obviously, oh my gosh, if you don't know L.B. Cole, and we've talked about him many times, you put an L.B. Cole by another comic, you will see the difference. His color work is so extreme.
Yeah, his shapes, they're unlike any other.
Not even extreme. Yeah, right. His color work is so, there's so much contrast to it, when you're looking at an L.B. Cole.
Absolutely.
And so his horror and sci-fi stuff's great. And there was a big uptick on him, but it wasn't so severe that his work still continues to go up in value right now to this year in 2019 as we discussed this, and I expect it again in 2020. And then back with the romance stuff really quick, because Matt Baker is bringing so much attention to romance, I'm seeing all romance across the board raising in value, including photo covers even. Like high-grade photo covers are going for great numbers. There's so much demand in romance in general. So if you're going to get into romance, just get into romance. Get in cheap. Low grade is fine. All right, if you just want to get going, just do that. Get low-grade Atomic Age stuff. It's all pretty affordable, unless it's a key book.
I appreciate you going over some of the things that people could, enter in on the gold section, on the Atomic Age section. I'm curious, what's your thoughts on horror and crime right now?
Crime and horror are fantastic. Okay, I mean, they're steady. I find when I'm out there that most people are drawn to that are collectors. Okay, so it's very strong market for this year and again next year, as I've mentioned. And again, the more violent, the more collectible it is. And I just think that we're not going to see a slowdown for this for at least 3-4 years. I mean, and maybe more. So it's really hard to predict past that. But boy, the way it's going and the amount of people asking me for books like on a daily basis,
wow,
the
you
same
think
ones.
It's still young. You think that it's still on the rise and it's going to maintain that.
Especially crime.
No kidding.
And war. Like I mentioned, the Flamethrower war covers, I mean, that's a whole nother subset of this collectible.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you sharing your opinion about how this last year went as it pertains to this very coveted genre of comic book collecting. I'm just going to throw this out there. One last question for you. And if you have any questions for the guru, please put them in the comment section below. We'd love to read your comments and love to hear your thoughts. I just want to know, like, biggest surprises, convention floor, just anything in general that just like made you stop and go, dang, yeah, that's new.
Yeah, I would say, actually, even before I get to that, I want to mention, get into war comics. I just mentioned war, and that has got some great covers. Atlas War books. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can get those for a super affordable price. Great stories, great covers. So that's another great way to get in. But
yeah, dude, Jack Davis, dude, Two-Fisted Tales, they're affordable and they're awesome. And some of those actually hold their value quite well. And they're creeping up, but they're still like so cheap to play, man. You can get some low-grade copies for under $100.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the surprise, I would say is that I'm seeing more Pedigree books. Like they have this new label, which I think is smart for them because I think it's supposed to help.
CGC?
Yeah, CGC has these new labels for Pedigree books. It's a black label. Okay, and I think they're doing that because there's been a slowdown in I think the value of these pets. I don't think they're getting with the numbers that they used to.
Okay.
And maybe because you can't differentiate the label. So I think putting a new label is going to bring more attention to the book and realize, oh, actually, this book is not just a high-grade copy. It's a high-grade copy with a history behind it. So I've seen this year a steep decline in the multiples that Pedigrees used to obtain when when they had that history to them.
But they're so expensive, and a lot of these stories haven't really been publicized as much as I think they would need to be to warrant the amount of inflation that some of these may deserve. That I think we have to do some more reporting going into the new year. Let's watch the Pedigree market.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's really smart to getting into it earlier than later, especially as this label changes and people start migrating their collections and getting the new fancy black tuxedo-like label.
What do you think about our new Comic Tom exclusive? We just dropped the news last week. Thor #1 Donny Cates, and Hyuk Lee variant.
I'm digging it, man. I mean, I love how it's all white, and then you got the two superheroes in bright colors, so it really just pops and stands out. I'm excited, man. A Comic Tom 101 variant of Marvel with the #1 issue with the Donny Cates behind it. It's pretty dope, man.
Link in the bio to join the community. We're sending out one to every single members while supplies last. We're probably going to be selling out